Hey everyone, it's Stephanie Stubbs here with Dublin City Schools. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about just a little bit of health and safety, give you some updates, and then give you a review on McKinney-Vento for those of you that maybe don't remember much about it or just need a good refresher. So again, my name's Stephanie. I do health, safety, McKinney-Vento, and I've been working on some student transitions information to get them ready for the next step in life. So whether that's transitioning up to the ninth grade from eighth grade, or if we're going into college and careers and just helping some of those students kind of find their way and what they would like to do. So let's just get started. So I'm going to share with you a quick presentation and we're just going to review a few things. All right. Okay, here we are at some health, safety, and McKinney-Vento guidance for the new 2023-24 school year. First off, I want to get right into the big congratulations. We officially met the end of the federal COVID-19 public health emergency. That was back in May, but officially to start this school year, we finally get to start with somewhat of some normalization. Now we know that there's still some things that may be a little bit different or that we're going to take some precautions on, but for the most part, we're going to have a little bit of freedom, which is really nice. One thing to remember, even though we are out of that public health state of emergency, we still want to make sure that we're monitoring and self-screening every day. So we don't want you to show up to work if you're sick and then potentially infect other people. There's lots of different sicknesses out there, and we know we have great nurses that keep us up to date on when that flu season is, the high cold times, and of course, when you start bringing everybody back in together, there's going to be a lot of mixtures of different germs and things. So just make sure you're taking all the proper precautions, checking for symptoms, and just really monitoring yourself before you show up to work. So again, that first bullet down there is please don't come to work if you're sick. That's what those sick days are for, and the work's still going to be here when you get back. So you're going to be okay. Make sure that you're checking in regularly with your healthcare provider. And if you are sick, don't be afraid to go to the doctor. One of the biggest things that maybe we forget about, but we need to wash and sanitize our hands regularly. We touch everything multiple times and we touch our face so much. So that's where germs are going to get in. So we need to make sure that we're taking those precautions, washing your hands with soap and water, following everything that our nurses are so gracious to share with us. And that last piece there is that self-care. We always want to take care of ourselves. We can't help others if we are sinking ourselves. So let's stay healthy this school year. The next thing is staying safe. So how are we going to maintain that level of safety that we want to keep going for our school year? So one of the biggest things, and I'm sure Mr. Chapman has been around and will share some of this information as well. But just to promote that level of safety, we want to make sure that we are not propping doors open, especially those exterior doors of our buildings. You just never know who's out there and who could be getting inside the doors. If you see students propping them up or letting people in, please remind them that we want everyone to come through that front office. All of our visitors need to report up there. We want them to sign in and we want them to identify themselves with a badge. The last part for us as staff is we need to make sure that we are wearing our badges every day. We need to have your employee badge on as well as your Centegix badge. And just some reminders about the Centegix badge. We can get alerts for any health emergencies or elopement of our students, or if you got somebody who's really, really sick and you can't leave the room at the moment, all it takes is 3 clicks on your Centegix badge. And once it vibrates and you feel that, that means that that alert is going to go to an administrator in your building. It's going to show up usually on my computer, my screen, and pop up so that we know that there's something going on. Most of the time I can access through the cameras to make sure everything is okay. There's no actual huge crisis going on. But if there is a crisis, we want those administrators to know right away and be able to get to you and to be of assistance. Again, we do not want this to happen, but if there does happen to be an intruder or an active shooter, anything like that, you are going to hit this button repeatedly and don't stop. Just keep hitting it. And then it'll eventually buzz and vibrate and and we will get those alerts also. So that's why it's so important. You need to wear your badge. We've put all these safety measures in place so that we can feel a little bit more protected in each of our buildings. All right, let's move on. So we've passed the health and safety side. We're doing really well starting this new school year, but now we want to do a quick refresher on what McKinney-Vento is. So some of those common signs of homelessness that we might not recognize as being homeless. But if we just pay attention and are a little vigilant, we want to make sure that we're listening out for some things with students they're talking about. If they've had to move around several times, maybe they're in a hotel, or we got kids that are coming in with dirty clothes, or lots of rips and different things that don't look like the store-bought rips in their clothing. We just want to make sure that we are being vigilant in that aspect and paying attention, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Is everything okay? Can I do anything for you? Some of the main things, we have a link that's attached on here to kind of tell us who are homeless children and youth. And that can range from a lot of things. Your homelessness doesn't look as typical as just those under a bridge, walking, the streets with a grocery cart full of all their belongings. The state recognizes youth homelessness as maybe them being doubled up. That's one of our most common forms of homelessness in our district, where we have multiple families living together, or maybe we have mom and grandma and kids all together in one house. You might have aunt, mom, or dad, whoever, and kids all in one home. And so anytime that they're doubled up and you don't always stay with maybe a parent, or you're with a relative, or they're all together, that does count as homelessness. And those students are eligible for some extra benefits for education. One of the other ones is if you're not in a regular parent home every night. So say they might be with mom 2 nights, but then maybe they're with a grandma or a cousin and they have to stay at different people's homes. That's still considered, doubled up, but it's also kind of, they're not having a consistent place to live. Another one is maybe just inadequate living environment. So you might have a house that you live in and it could be with both parents, but it's just not adequate. You don't have proper heating or lighting, and it's kind of run down. It doesn't look like a safe place. Some of those things are areas where I can kind of observe and investigate a little bit more and see if that student qualifies. Other common ones are if they're living in their vehicle, they're staying in a hotel or motel, in rundown or abandoned buildings because they do not have a place to live. Those are some of your other common ones. We do have quite a few of those in the district that are staying in hotels. And one thing to remember is once a child is placed on the homeless list for that school year, they stay on there the entire year. Just because their living arrangement might change, maybe they start the year and it's kind of rough, but then by January, they're in more stable housing. We're still going to monitor and watch out for that family throughout the rest of the year, regardless if their situation changes. So just because we've helped them one time doesn't mean we can't continue to help and offer support. One of the biggest things is just that early identification. The sooner that we know, the better resource we can be to these families to be able to help them. And so that's why one of the things we're asking each school to do is make sure that they're providing that residency questionnaire. And that's a link also on this page. There's also a short video here on Schoolhouse Connections that kind of gives you an outline of what homelessness is and what that looks like for our students. But for the most part, I think if you've been going through the trainings every year, you're getting a general idea of what that looks like. And we have more people reaching out and asking questions, which is going to be our biggest help. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to call me or send me an email. Hey, can you check this out about this student? And I'm more than happy to. You can reach out to any of the counselors at your building or your family engagement coordinators. They also have direct input that they can reach out to me and we can kind of brainstorm on how we can best help kids. Some of the things we can provide for our students who qualify for homeless are all of their school supplies, any educational resources that they may need, tutoring, after school program support. Our grant helps cover all of that. If they need uniforms, any clothing for sports activities, anything that's going to enhance their education, our grant is able to provide that resource and that support for students. We do not do gifts. We can't pay for rent. We can't pay for any type of housing. We can't do any electricity, Christmas, birthdays, different things like that. Those are just some of the limitations that we have that we're not able to provide. However, there are community resources that we can point them in the direction to be able to support But one of the best things that has happened to our district lately is that redesign of our website. So if you have questions, you can see what's going on right on the website. So you can go to that dcsirish.com, click on that menu button, and then you're going to go right over to where it says departments, and you'll see McKinney-Vento on that list of departments. And then you click on there, and my information is there, and then just some further information about what McKinney-Vento is. As we continue to go along, and we see needs and different resources that would be helpful to maybe you all as staff, if there's something in particular that you would like to have access to right on the website, I'll definitely consider it and then see if we can get our awesome PR department to put some of that information on there for you. One of the other items on the website that is a direct link for parents to go to is a food finder. And that's one of the areas where our students can suffer in, is areas of having food outside of the school hours. Now, our food and nutrition department do a great job of ensuring that our students have breakfast and lunch on every campus. And even some campuses, they're able to have a dinner or supper meal while they're there. All of our sports at the high school level are able to have that as an option for their sports teams. But if that's not an option for some of our students or they do not play sports, there's a food finder app where you can go and find all the local food pantries and how you can have access to food. So if your families don't know about this, please make sure if they're asking questions or there is a need that you're directing them to this link on our website, and it's under the parent information portion. So just one other fun fact to be able to provide for you all. So again, if you have questions, I am super happy to be able to answer any additional questions for you. There is a lot more that goes into what McKinney-Vento is and how we can help and support and what to look for. Like I said, you're going to go through other trainings through your through like our systems compliance director. There's a link on there that you're going to have to follow all that information and still complete that McKinney-Vento training. But as a district, you need to know who I am and how you can reach out to me and then where to point the families. So if you don't have the answers, you don't have to. You can just direct them right to me. My email address is right here on the screen, and then my phone number right to my office is also there. So you have one more job to do. Once you have finished this video or the training portion of this, please make sure that you're using the QR code that's on your screen right now or clicking the link that's provided to complete the McKinney-Vento training verification form. This helps us continue to access those funds through federal funds and request them each year. I've been very fortunate that each year that I've applied and worked on this grant, we have increased our dollar amount. So all of that comes from you all being great participants, helping make that identification of our homeless students in the district, and then making sure that we're providing services for them. So as long as you continue to watch these trainings, help with early identification, and fill out the forms, I will continue to fight as hard as I can to make sure that we have the funds to be able to help all the students that we need to in this district. So let's continue the good work that we're doing, and I hope you all have an awesome school year.